If you do top down in India, you're sure to fail. Sure to fail. We are not as people very culture, right? कि बोल दिया है, ये decide हो गया, अभी करना है, right? We have our own point. Everyone is solving problem. One funny thing about consulting is there is no fixed hierarchy. You never have like X set of people who are always going to work with you. You're never a boss, and nobody is your boss. As consultants, it's our job to also then make the organization understand, internalize, align, what needs to be done, right? And if you're not doing that well, then that's also a failure. So of course we feel, that we failed. In the initial years, what you really want to do is learn fast, right? Have an opportunity to learn, grow, build capabilities fast. And I think, I don't think there's any other job which can give you that accelerated pace of learning.
A lot of these guys want to join consulting, and I'm sure you've gone over the years to hire across various business schools, and maybe now, you will look at talent from elsewhere. What is it that you look for? Who do you think as a 22, 23, 24-year-old will be a great consultant? What is it that you look for at that stage in hiring someone?
Yeah, I think there is no one archetype, firstly. There could be multiple types of archetypes of great consultants. So yeah, that's first thing to keep in mind. Typically, what we say is, if you have one spike, one area which you're really, really good at, and the others don't have red flags, right? Then you can be a great consultant. So your spike could be on problem solving. You could be really good, conceptual thinker, good problem solver, all of that. It could be on practicality. You're smart. You are able to sort of get things done, cut through the clutter, influence people. It could be around, very good communication and presence. You're able to sort of deliver message well, things like that. So you could have spikes in different areas. You could be a fantastic people person. You can, just basically walk into a room, create affiliations, influences, and hence get people to do what you want them to do. Because end of the day, as Ankit was saying earlier, you don't have direct P&L control. You can only influence people and get things done. You need to have one of these as spike. When I sort of look at, individuals, I try to, of course, you can't measure all of this in an interview, but intellectual curiosity is very important in this job. राइट टेम्पलेटाइज तो कुछ है नहीं और एक बार एक चीज़ सीख ली तो वो प्रोसेस ओरिएंटेशन है नहीं कि 3 साल तक उसी मॉडल में काम है सप्लाई चेन एक टूल है या मॉडल है और उसको चलाना है राइट ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर चैलेंजेस एवरी डे यू नीड टू सॉल्व इट इट्स एक्साइटिंग वर्क बट द प्रॉब्लम इज अंडर कंट्रोल इट इज नोन राइट यहाँ पे यू नीड टू डील विद न्यू प्रॉब्लम्स एवरी डे सो यू नीड टू हैव द इंटेलेक्चुअल curiosity to get into the problem, to be able to understand it, apply your thinking and judgment to solve it. So that's very important, and I think the temperament to struggle with it.
So how do you judge that in an interview?
तो मैं तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग मतलब करता हूँ. I know all of you guys prepare for case studies and standard framework. मैं एक public sector case दे देता हूँ, which has none of the frameworks of P&L apply there, right? So I give an offbeat case, where the standard templates will not work. But if you apply your mind, and think about the problem, it will be quite intuitive to go through. So that's how I try to do it.
We've seen massive amount of people being interested in startups now. A lot of smart people who would have chosen consulting are now choosing to go and work with startups. And I think it's no secret, like we've seen all consulting firms go all out trying to attract talent from the market. There have been all kinds of incentives that have been given by various companies. So what do you think about this particular phase right now? Do you think consulting is under threat? Do you think it's getting a more competitive space, like where there are much more variety of really challenging, interesting jobs available now for people? And the kind of almost like a monopoly that consulting firms had over the best talent, from a lot of institutions in India is kind of going away now. So what do you think about this trend that's there?
So if I don't think about it very selfishly from a BCG hiring perspective, I think it's a fantastic trend. India is a large country with some enormous pools of talents. No few B schools should have the monopoly to say, look, we only have the talent, right? So I think this is a fantastic trend. It is creating, as you rightly said, many different types of opportunities for people to do exciting work, to do challenging work. And it pushes us also to think about our value proposition, improve it for our people, and look for new pools of talents which we were not tapping into earlier, where obviously talent sits. It's not as if the talents are not available there, but it was easy for us to go to a few B schools and take the top talent from there. So I think it's a fantastic as a trend, right? Of course, as consulting firms, this is something that we recognize. Is going to be more war for talent. It's not only in India. It's not only for consulting firms. It's a general trend. That's happening and playing around.
I am super excited about it because it gives space for firms like ours and platforms like Alt2 to also thrive, because as there is more war for talent, there will be newer pools of talent that people are going to seek, and hopefully, people who get upskilled on our platforms will become super in demand going forward, and they'll bring a completely new, different perspective, because they would not have necessarily always gone to the best colleges or the best institutions, but probably still have gotten the same exposure given what technology can enable today. So yeah, I am also very excited about it because it helps Alt2.
And if I can do a plug for you now, I think there is a huge skilling gap in the country. Huge skilling gap in the country. Our institutions, educational institutions, are not able to keep pace yet with what is really needed in the market, right? And I think they will all transform, but it will take time. But there is a very important role that skilling ventures and companies and interventions have a role to play in bridging that gap. I was chatting with Ankit earlier. I think there's an electronics boom. 40,000 crores of money is being pumped into electronic manufacturing in the next 2-3 years. There is a lot of new kinds of skills and jobs, white collar, good quality jobs will be required. EV is a boom. EV is completely different from auto manufacturing. EV battery is the most expensive part, which is all chemical engineering, which is all thermodynamics, because battery mein aag lag rahi hai abhi, matlab. So you need to understand why that's happening, right? So it's a completely new set of skills. I totally think there's a lot of skilling gap, and there's a lot of great opportunities coming up for the youth.
Any specific skills that you would recommend people start building, irrespective of whether they get into consulting or no, but skills that you think will be in demand over the next 10-15 years?
There's so many, Ankit. So frankly, I want to say these are the two things you do, and this is where all the jobs will be, right? But digital is become important for everyone, not only for startups. All traditional companies will now become also very digitized. There is no option, right? So obviously digital on the back end, which is how do you sort of create digital supply chains, IoT in manufacturing, and then it's not only process but also the analytics that comes with data, are very important need gaps for all companies, and there's obviously a lot of jobs it will get created. If you think of it, if you think of a logistic company, a sector where I work a lot, the entire workforce need to be digitized. जो आदमी warehouse में काम कर रहा है, उसको टैब पे काम करना है, जो deliver कर रहा है, उसको digital app लेके काम करना है, right? जो supply chain manage करता था, उसको सारा has to look at control centers and supply chain data and analytics and so on, right? So the entire sectors are going to get digitized. So I think that's one obviously very important area where there are a lot of opportunities that are going to come. And the other is, I think there's some new age sectors that are coming up, right? ESG, EV, electronics, few more I can name, right? Where I think a lot of new opportunities will come up. So those are areas to also look at, because these are all sunrise sectors, renewables, and so on. Yeah.
What is the level of climate change related awareness that you think is there amongst people? Because at least in developing countries like India, it's like such a far-fetched problem. It almost feels like, हमारे पास, I mean, we have only now gotten to a point where we have enough food to eat on the table, or people are getting basic amenities slightly better now. Should we be investing so much in climate change and building products for sustainability when maybe right now, I mean, the developed countries have already used up all the planet's resources, and now we are being asked to kind of build this particular new, that we should become ESG conscious, right? So what is your view on that? don't you think it's unfair in a way?
If you think of this from a historical aspect, it would seem unfair because yes, right, they have used far more resources and they continue to consume more than what we do. But if you look from a future perspective, I think it is not a choice, honestly, right? So it's something needs to be done about it. And I don't think we should think of this as a cost, which frankly it is not, right? I think what's going to happen is because of so much focus on this, investments in technologies which are more ESG, focused will accelerate and the economics will change of them, right? We don't need to build as many coal-based power plants anymore that China built or maybe, US built, right? We can leapfrog those technologies, and which we are doing. Obviously, we need more time to do it. India as a country has taken a 2070 commitment, which is fine, which is fair. It allows you, those many years to sort of make the transition. In the interim, maybe continue to sort of, consume more. In India, there's a lot of awareness. Many companies are moving towards it because it is making economic sense. Right? If a steel plant today wants to export to Europe, there is a carbon tax, right? And so if they used a coal-based, manufacturing, they would have to pay $20 more on that steel. If they switch to renewables, they become more competitive, right? So this creates, there's no choice now, right, for that steel company. So this will happen.
There are now a few people who started, an MBA in sustainable management. Do you have any ideas for us? What can we do in terms of skilling people for this ESG related future and the innovation in this area? Or do you think it'll be done with the traditional route only?
No, I think in the near term, there is a big supply gap that will happen, because it's great to hear that, there are MBA around sustainability that are being designed. Some universities will pick that up. But all of that will take time, right? But the demand is here right now. Most large companies are setting up ESG teams, right? ESG managers, ESG heads. Even the regular functions that they have now need to have an ESG SPOC, right? And so the person needs to understand how to measure carbon footprint, how to sort of get it reported, how to create a roadmap for transition for a company, what kind of decisions around technology can enable that, not enable that. These are new kinds of capabilities, and I think in the interim, some of the skilling could be very helpful, to create talent.
Awesome. So I'm going to open up the floor for questions.
My name is Ritesh. Thank you so much for doing this for all of us. The question I have is about, like, for somebody who wants a career in finance, we have other certifications, CF and all that. If somebody wants to go into consulting, what is that we can do additionally to just stand out, okay, this is the person we should take in the organization?
See, as I was mentioning earlier, we're looking for qualities, right? And so if you can show a quality where you have persevered and excelled in something, right? That shows your tenacity, your perseverance, your ability to take up a problem, a challenge, and sort of take it to a logical conclusion. I think that's fantastic. So if you have a few things in it could be from a personal aspect also, any particular sort of thing that you're passionate about, that could help you stand out. The other couple of things that could be helpful is some interesting work experience, that you could do, and where again, if you've shown ability to sort of excel and so on. So it's not necessarily that you have to join consulting immediately after college. You could actually spend a couple of years in the industry, gain some experience, and demonstrate that you have built some certain skills that could be valuable. That could be another way to do it. So I don't think a short certification really changes the game.
One thing I can plug in here is 5th of June is when we are doing our consulting program, which starts with another partner at BCG. So you can also join that just to get a chance to get more insight into the industry, and you also get to do a project. So that's a plug from my side.
My question is not about entering consulting, it's about the challenges you face at the partner level. So have there been an experience where you have consulted a similar kind of company hundreds of times, or different companies many times, but when you consult someone and their top management rejects your proposal, and you know it for a fact कि भाई एक ही solution है इसका to survive and grow in this problem. So कभी ऐसा होता है कि यही solution है? Are there any ego issues there when you are like मैं बहुत बार ये चीज़ कर चुका हूँ, hundreds of clients के साथ, यही solution है बस.
With that mindset तो honestly problem हो जाएगा कंसल्टिंग में. क्योंकि if you are so sure कि यही आंसर है और कुछ हो नहीं सकता तो then I don't think it works like that. And as consultants, it's our job to also then make the organization understand, internalize, align, what needs to be done, right? And if you're not doing that well, then that's also a failure. So of course we feel, that we failed the client if you're not able to sort of explain to them the importance of that recommendation. It happens, right? Sometimes organizations are not prepared for the changes that we might be, recommending to them, right?
So we had brought in few consultants, right, in different verticals. So what had happened, they had proposed two solutions. So immediately the full-time regular employees, they started taking a back saying, okay, we are in-house, okay, we understand that it might not work. So as a consultant, how do you, to the management, you obviously connect because you are streamlining for the internal employees, how do you bridge the gap saying, okay, I'm not.
Yeah, fantastic question. I think it's a great question. Some consultants, I don't want to taking name of companies, but I'll talk about BCG. If you do top down in India, you're sure to fail. We are not, as people, very process driven culture, right? कि बोल दिया है, ये decide हो गया, अभी करना है, right? We have our own point. Everyone is solving problem. Democracy भी है, हमको लगता है हम सब smart हैं, which is good, right? So you have to work both, top to bottom, and also with the people who will actually drive change. And I think that's the key to success, at least in the Indian market, I feel. So you're right. If someone is trying to do that completely top down, then there's a chance that the organization may not accept it. Obviously, there are times when you have to actually drive something from the top, but if you could take the organization along, that really helps actually to get the outcomes. Yeah. So you're right.
Hi sir, my name is Radha. I just wanted to ask that consulting is a very glamorous and appealing profession for everyone, right? So I just wanted to know how does your day as a consultant typically look like to get more insight of it as we are working it, if you go for it.
Yeah, so the short answer to that is no day is same as the other day. And it's quite, that's the best way to describe consulting life, right? Every day is a different day, but you would probably land up at the client side. You would try to hustle to get some data and information to meet some people. You would then think about actually before that you think about what you really know to sort of drive as insights, analysis, answer what questions. So you start looking for data and so on. You get the data, you synthesize it, you try to generate insights. You try to summarize and try to put it together in a very sharp storyline to be able to deliver that message. Then you walk into a CTM, which is a case team meeting internally. You try to convince other people in the team, especially partners, that this could work. If we all agree, then we take it to the client in a steering committee meeting where we share it. We might bounce it with few people before we do that. And steering committee is the moment of truth, where if it works, people like it, then you're good. Otherwise, you go back and start the day again.
Good afternoon. My name is Tushar. So, as you have mentioned earlier, while recruiting, you see the areas of spikes. So, when you joined BCG, what was your area of spike? And after 14 years, after all these titles before your name, do you develop other areas of spike or mastered all of it?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I don't know how to be humble and answer that. No, look, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think.
So why did you get hired? Simple question.
I did the case interview as well, obviously. I think, as I said, my acads were not the best, if not bad, but it was not the best. I think I got hired because I was generally always doing multiple things. So in college, for example, I was part of a couple of sports teams, cricket, football team. I was part of the cultural committee in IIM Bangalore, leading one of the roles there. I was just doing many things, and I was just generally visible on campus and so on. And I think that helped, build a profile where someone who has just many interest, energy, and tries to take some leadership roles like the cultural committee and so on. So I think that probably helped my profile, because I also wondered why I eventually got all the calls. What is my spike? Look, now I think what I do really well and what I get a lot of energy from is is being able to build what we call as pyramids. People who are willing to work with you, because one funny thing about consulting is there is no fixed hierarchy. You never have like X set of people who are always going to work with you. You're never a boss, and nobody is your boss, which is actually a great thing. But that's also reality, right? So you need to be able to attract people to work with you. And I think over the years, I think I've learned what makes it work, and I think that that I also enjoy doing, right? Just spending time with people and trying to help them be successful in their careers, which then of course they reciprocate with, right? Then they want to come and work with you as well. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Isha. And my question is that how the orientation changes, like how you look at a problem. For example, coming from an experienced background, as an entrant, you are given a certain kind of a work stream, and then you lose focus of what problem, the larger picture. So kind of how your evolution has been, and a certain tip as entrants or the freshers of consulting, how to keep that bigger problem statement in mind, as well as excelling at the work stream that we are assigned.
Yeah. No, I think good question. So you're very right. Most important thing is to be very clear about what you're solving for. Where is the value pool? What is the impact area, right? You have less time, in a consulting world, right? You always sort of crunch for time. So knowing your 80-20, knowing your prioritization, knowing what you're trying to solve for, and articulating them very clearly that these are my 5-6 hypotheses that I want to sort of work to validate, right? And then intermittently just stepping back, as you get into more details, just stepping back and saying, "Acha, ye help kar raha hai ki nahi kar raha," right? Are these hypotheses really working or not? Do I need to really rethink about how I'm approaching the problem? So that keeping the bigger picture, not missing the woods for the trees and things like that, right? I think is super important. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for doing this. Guys, a big round of applause for Saurabh.
Thank you.